One Piece is known for being extremely long in the anime community, and also being like a comedy first and shonen second kind of show. And long shows tend to have a lot of arcs scattered throughout the entire thing. Going up to the current arc now, the one that's currently airing, there's about 34. Since I'm watching this long show, I thought I'd do sort of a midway tier list of the canon arcs so far. And for reference, I'm about 440 episodes in. And so I'm gonna rank all the arcs before that, and probably gonna do another one of these when I catch up to the current arc. Spoilers, of course, and this is all in my opinion, so don't go getting hurt just because I said one of your favorite arcs is trash, because this is just how I see them. Where better to start than at the very bottom of the list? And there's 3 entries that I feel are interchangeable, and those 3 being the Trials of Kobe Meppo, Adventures of Buggy's Crew, and Gaimon. All of these arcs seem like filler and don't really make sense as to why they're canon, especially Gaimon, but I digress. At the point where these arcs happen, I only really cared about the main crew and what they were doing. While I will say that the comic relief from them was good, it seemed like filler, and that's why they're at the bottom of the list. And immediately above those 3 is Long Ring Long Land. Now, I hate this arc for a few reasons, but I'll get into that in a moment. Some good things to come out of this arc is it's the real first time we see Zoro and Sanji work together and just how powerful they are, as in literally taking down a giant, and also the comedy aspects about how everyone freaks out because Luffy has an afro during the 1v1, and that's about it for the good parts. The arc is about the Foxy Pirates trying to win, and it was utter hell to watch and almost suffer through the 20 episodes. You would go into an episode realizing what's happening, and then the same thing happens for the next episode just for a different game. The entire arc felt like an excuse to include or show those good parts I mentioned. And above Long Ring is Orange Town, literally the second arc of the show. Like, sure, we meet Buggy and Nami for the first time, as well as see a dog, but that's it. There's literally nothing worth mentioning other than the characters. The fights were okay, and there wasn't really a lot of comedy aspects, but it's still better than Long Ring. Next in the list is Jaya. Now, Jaya is a weird one because I did like it, but it's extremely short, and the big fight that was hyped up for this arc was literally over in one punch. As well as the only sort of significance in this arc is brought up in the arc following in the show. This arc really only serves as motivation for that one punch fight, and also for them to get up to Skypiea and go fight some guy called God. Next on the list is Logtown and Reverse Mountain, again being interchangeable. These 2 arcs combined serve as almost the break into the new world, if you remember that from your English storytelling class. But they're both cool arcs in the sense that they give almost all the necessary backstory, as well as introduce some important side characters. The comedy aspects as well, bringing Buggy back and all them, is really interesting too. But as I said before, they only really serve as backstory or background for the world. Going to the next arc, it's Whiskey Peak. Now, Whiskey Peak is interesting because it leads into one of my favorite arcs in the show, as well as Zoro getting his bounty and all that. And one of the best 4Kids dub moments.
It's good to see you, buddy.
And Zoro going around slicing up a bunch of people in almost a stealth mission is really cool. But those are the only notable parts directly correlated with this arc, and that doesn't lead into the arc following. The next arc on the list is Little Garden. Little Garden is a weird one, because while it is a good arc and the storyline between the 2 giants does give Usopp his motivation to keep with the crew and gives him his dream, it also gives us more information about Baroque Works agents and such. It's a good arc and pretty heartfelt, even with the comedic moments in it, and it's a good tie between all those aspects, but there are just arcs that are better. Next up is Drum Island. The few good things in this arc are directly linked to Chopper and his techniques, because let's be honest, how could you not love Chopper? But the entire reason we do meet Chopper and we go to this island is because Nami is sick. While the crew does say frequently that they need a doctor for the ship, they could have gotten a doctor anywhere but decided on Chopper. But I could not be happier. And yes, it is ranked this high because of Chopper. The next two arcs are interchangeable as well, because it's the Baratier and Syrup Village arcs. They're both good because we get to meet two new crew members before they venture onto the Grand Line and such, but kind of bleh because it's the same stuff between them. The crew shows up, bad guys appear, Luffy beats up the head guy, new person on the crew, and that's it for both arcs. Though I would rate Syrup Village a bit higher because we get both Usopp and the Going Merry. The next arc on the list is Arlong Park. This arc is just straight up cool for it being one of the first major arcs in the show. Pretty much everyone besides Nami and Usopp has their badass moments, which are all pretty awesome to see. And the fight between Arlong and Luffy went longer than just one punch. But this arc also showed that one of Luffy's biggest motivations for fighting was his friends. Because instead of focusing on Arlong for the fight, he focused on destroying Nami's room since he knew how much pain she felt in there. It was almost the perfect mix of goofy and serious moments both before and after the climax of the arc, and was one of the reasons I started getting really into One Piece in the first place. The next arc on the list is actually the first arc, Romance Dawn. Now you may be curious as to why the hell I would put this one so high, and it's simply because it's the start of the journey. Luffy gets its first crew member, Zoro, and we see Kobe get the chance to follow his dreams despite being friends with Luffy. It's a very heartwarming start to the show and is almost the perfect way to do so. It is, however, extremely short, only being 2 episodes long. The next arc on the list is Skypiea. This is the arc that Jaya leads directly into and is absolutely amazing. It creates a dynamic between the characters while also showing how they work on their own, with them being split up for a small portion of the arc. But the comedy and the fights were really amazing. And who could forget probably the best meme from the show that came from this arc?
Damn, Daniel!
No, but the fight between Luffy and God is amazing, even for it to be extremely silly. And the way everyone has their own motivation to continue is shown in this arc as well, as one of the main things throughout it. Though this is only like 8 on the list, there's still 7 more above it. Speaking of, the next arc on the list is post Enies Lobby, for it just being extremely silly goofy. We get to see Kobe again, as well as get an understanding why Garp is so lenient with Luffy. And we also get Frankie joining the crew, as well as the new ship, the Sunny. The entire arc is really goofy, which is really good after the big fight during Enies Lobby, but I'll get to that arc later. The next arc on the list is Thriller Bark. This arc is just flat out cool. How it ties basically everything together with Frankenstein, zombies, getting your shadow stolen, all that. The huge fight between Luffy and another warlord, while there's also a time limit, but Luffy also gets like 100 shadows to fight his own shadow. All of this is really entertaining, and I probably would want to go back and watch it again. Even with the comic reliefs like Usopp and Perona's fight, all of it is amazing. But there's another reason, another huge reason why this is really high up on the list. And that's because nothing happened. I hate myself for making that joke. The next arc on the list is Amazon Lily. Now, I'm not gonna say much on this arc because you can probably guess why it's so high up, but another reason is because it again shows that even if people, or in this case, snakes, want to kill him, he'll protect their secret. It also shows that Luffy can use Conqueror's Haki, which while I was watching this, I got literal goosebumps when it happened. It was such a wholesome arc and such a cool one at that. But anyway, the next arc is Sabaody Archipelago. The reason this one is so high up is because it introduces the concept of hockey, which is something I really enjoy seeing them do, and the sound design behind all of it. When this old guy, who I forgot the name of, uses it in the theater and wipes out every single guard was such a cool moment. My jaw literally dropped when it happened. And who could forget the crazy impact frames when Luffy punched that one celestial dragon. However, I did not need the emotional roller coaster of seeing the Straw Hats disappear and seeing Luffy on the ground pissed. But that's just me, because it was a good arc nonetheless. The next 2 arcs are interchangeable, that being Enies Lobby and Water 7, since they kinda tie into each other. Everything from them doing their shenanigans on the island to declaring war on the government, and Robin's iconic moment saying she wants to live, and even the fight with CP9, which, by the way, could have been a better name for that one, but I guess that's just me. And seeing Chopper go Wendigo mode was honestly all of it was jaw-dropping, along with a bunch of other parts of the arc with every fight happening. All of it is really entertaining and enjoyable throughout every second, and I found myself staying up way too late to continue watching it. However, there is still one arc I think is better than every single one I've listed already, and that is Alabasta. Alabasta as an arc was so hyped up in the arcs preceding it, with the introduction of the 7 warlords, and Crocodile being one of them and also being extremely messed up, and I found myself waiting for Luffy to beat his ass all times they face each other. And when Luffy finally does, the best music is playing, that being Symphony No. 9 in E minor, Op 15 from the New World by Antonin Dvorak, which plays from them fighting to almost midway through the episode. Throughout the entire time of the arc, and arcs before then, I found myself hating Crocodile more and more, only to find out he's a warlord, giving the first warlord fight in the series. We have to say goodbye to Vivi and Karoo at the end of the arc, but honestly it doesn't bother me in the slightest. There are plenty of other reasons like Usopp and all these other characters who really don't fight, gaining their guts to like step up and fight their opponent and also win in the end, although they do probably win with like plot armor or something, but that doesn't matter. It's all really cool. And who could forget meeting Ace for the first time? I just absolutely love the arc. And that's it for the list. I honestly don't care if you don't like it because, as I said earlier, it was my opinion. But if you want to see more of these types of videos with other shows like maybe Naruto, then leave a like and comment what show you'd like to see next. That, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new or finding yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already. And that's all I got. I'll see you in the next one.
Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul. These hentai babes make me drool. Hatsune Miku is great. She makes me masturbate. Fairy tale.